Rob's Roundtable, Mike Story. We're going in deep. This is our fifth of the night. Released a little later, right?
We're far apart.
We are. I know. I can't really touch you. Does the knife work?
Yeah, let's see if it...
All right. We're doing Underdog Fantasy, Underdog Best Ball Values. This is where you want to draft early. Don't do your redrafts early, right? Not this early.
Not redraft. Best balls, yes. Get in before these guys get steamed up. Get in before training camp news bolsters these guys, because we guarantee the 20 guys we have listed here, they're going up in value. So get in now.
That's right. We're doing Underdog Values. I have a stat of the day for you. Stat of the day. In 2023, last year, in the 12 full games these two guys played together, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, here's their targets. Puka 100, Cooper Kupp 99.
So when they played together,
full games,
they were basically even.
Even.
It's not a A, B, or even a 1A, 1B. It should be 1A, 1A.
One's going wide receiver 7. One's going wide receiver 24.
That's way too low for Cooper Kupp. I mean, just based on that stat alone, that's too low. And then you take everything else into consideration. He's not one of my guys, but I can see that's a very good stat.
And we were both Puka Nacua guys. You more so was on that train way before anyone else. But like, it should be closer. Maybe not. I mean, Cooper's 30, but is he's not 37?
I don't think he's passed. I mean, 99 targets in the games they played together. The big question is health, but assuming he's passed whatever ailed him the last 2 years.
Or is he Michael Thomas?
Oh, God, I hope
hopefully not. And also, question of the day, put in the comments section. Give us your underdog values. Give us your top 3 guys that you notice that you're drafting, or that you, when you look at it, when you hear us, who do you like? Who do you hate? Where are we wrong? Let's go.
Yeah.
My first guy, we're going to go position by position. I'm going to start with quarterback. I have 1. Will Levis, quarterback 24. That is a 180 ADP. In this situation, I love it as my quarterback 2 because there's no competition for work. If he stays healthy, he's starting every game. They got to see what they have. The weapons are just delicious. Right? Hopkins. Not done. I'm telling you, not done.
I think you're right there.
Calvin Ridley.
You reminding people that we're going off of ADP from the Best Ball ADP,
yes,
right?
Underdog.
Yeah, Underdog Best Ball ADP.
You got Calvin Ridley as the number 2 or number 1, whatever. Hopkins. You also have Treylon Burks as an afterthought because you have Tyler Boyd too.
24?
Yeah, 24.
And we saw what the upside is.
And you have Tyler Boyd.
And we saw what the upside is with him last year when he didn't have as much talent. That's a good one.
And another thing about it is you don't have a workhorse running back. You have Tony Pollard, who is not a 3-down back. And you have, I love Tajay Spears. I'm saying you don't have a guy to just hand the ball off to. They're going to get their brains beaten in. Defense sucks. He only had like 24 carries for 79 yards last year. He had a couple rushing touchdowns. Like that, he can run. That dude is like more athletic Ryan Tannehill. And we've seen Tannehill have 340 yards rushing. This guy's going to have the full package. I can see him sneaking into top 12 territory.
The nice thing is you don't have to worry about those dud gains in best ball, assuming you build your roster correctly around him.
It's your quarterback too. I mean,
my number 1 underdrafted or best ball value here is Jaden Daniels. And go back and watch our quarterback pod. I talk more about him. There's a lot of mobile quarterbacks out there, right? Mobile quarterbacks. This guy's a rusher, a rushing quarterback. 186 rushes in 14 games, 13 carries per game. He had 34 rushing touchdowns in college between Arizona State and last year at LSU. Heisman winner. You look at, he can have an okay passing completion, somewhere in that 55 to 58 percentage, and he's still going to give you better value on his draft position. Currently QB12, according to Underdog Best Ball ADP. I don't know another quarterback that's guaranteed 4 to 5 carries a game. And if you look at that 45 carries per game stat, all 15 guys who had that average that, 14 of them recorded a season where they finished top 10 in fantasy. So at the very least, you're getting a top 10 fantasy guy at a 12 price. And I think with upside, you're looking at a top 6 guy in best ball.
Yeah, and you mentioned the completion percentage. With him, it's not as important because he's a deep ball guy.
Exactly.
So if you get 57%, he's pushing the ball downfield. They're playing from behind. The completion doesn't matter. He's not dinking and dunking.
And you look at
Mclaurin,
Josh Allen's sophomore year, he had a 58% completion percentage. You want to guess what that was among quarterbacks that year? It was 32nd overall, and he still finished as a top 10 quarterback.
I love it. All right, moving on. Do you have any other quarterbacks?
I do have one more.
One more. What do you got?
It's Derek Carr, and you mentioned him in our last pod as well.
What is he?
Again, we're talking. So this
23?
is he's 25.
Wow.
Right now. Yeah, 26.
That's good.
26.
That's good, man.
Yeah. So this is a 2 QB, or if you're gonna go like a scrubs approach and just pick up 2, maybe 3
Will
guys
Levis
for
and
2
Derek
guys.
Carr.
Yeah.
And a third. You want to almost do a third at that point, but
Maybe, but no quarterback controversy, right?
No.
Lots of talent.
Taysom Hill's the only
around
controversy in terms of stealing points.
Yeah, but Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara, Juwan Johnson.
A.T. Perry.
Another year under his belt, another year in the system. You've got a new offensive coordinator. There's a lot to like about him, especially when you got a solid weekly floor. And think about how much value you can generate with your other picks when you wait to draft the QB26 if you can get a QB20 or higher value.
Yeah, you heard the set I said about him earlier. We were talking about A.T. Perry and Shaheed. He was tied for first with 6 300-yard passing games last year with, I think it was Mahomes or whoever it was. 6 300-yard passing games. I know yards ain't everything, but, like, touchdowns will come.
But if those touchdowns do come, and he has a 3-touchdown game.
You're talking about quarterback 26. Who cares, right?
I won't give you all
who
the
cares?
information. I'll just give you an honorable mention just to look it up. Deshaun Watson, QB21.
Well, 100%. Yeah, that could be a boomer bust. But in this format, let's go.
Yep.
All right, moving on to running backs here. My first one, you're going to love this. I think Zamir White.
Okay, all right.
RB22,
You're going to have to convince me. I'm a skeptic here.
You ready?
Yeah.
You ready for this? His last 4 weeks, I know Josh Jacobs was hurt. 93 touches. That includes 9 catches, so it wasn't just rushes. I know 9 catches isn't much, 2.3 per week. But he can catch a little bit. And 70% snap share when Antonio Pierce took over the gig. Which, you know who Antonio Pierce is? He's no-nonsense, run the ball, blue-collar dude. Would you agree?
Down to that culture, nose to the grindstone kind of guy.
Yes, I love that. You know who's behind him, first of all? It's Alexander Madison, who fumbles the ball a bunch. I know a lot of people are going to be like, he's this year Alexander Madison, right where he's going. Oh, he's going to get all the work. The problem is, Madison's a fumble artist. Not Zamir White, okay? Also, he's got Amir Abdullah, who was on the Lions 8 years ago. That dude is not a threat. So he's got the backfield to himself. First 9 games with Josh McDaniels, last year before he got fired, they averaged 76 yards rushing a game. Once Antonio Pierce took over the gig, 108 yards rushing per game. Let's go.
Where's he being drafted right now?
RB22.
Interesting.
In best ball. That is bottom of the barrel RB2s, man.
Yeah.
And ADP, especially Underdog, is suppressed for running backs. 88.
I always have concerns about running backs who cannot elevate themselves beyond the depth chart without an injury in front of them. And that's what we saw with Zamir White last year. So my big concern
Well, Josh Jacobs, though. Come on.
But, again, we always talk about it.
I get it.
All right.
But who's behind him, though?
I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach.
Who's behind him?
White.
You think Madison's taking his job?
I'm telling you.
He can't hold on to the ball. Stop running with your hands on your legs.
Still holding out for Madison. All right, my first running back is, I think you're going to like this, Travis Etienne of the Jacksonville Jaguars, currently being
12,
drafted at 11 right now. I think you got a lot of value there. So his yards per carry dropped last year, but that was due to kind of a really step back in the run blocking unit, but they'd made some improvements there. He's 25 years old, first-round pick. And
he stepped up his pass production.
You want to talk about a depth chart that has nobody behind it? You've got third-round rookie from Texas, Keelan Robinson, to Ernest Johnson, and Tank Bigsby out of Auburn.
Bigsby's done.
Nothing. I mean, he can hit that 19 to 21 touches per game, and even if he goes down a little bit, this offense should be more efficient. So, yeah, a lot of opportunity there, and he was RB7 in per-game scoring last year.
I see a top 8 running back.
1,400 scrimmage yards back-to-back seasons.
Yeah, I love it. And also, Tank Bigsby sucks.
He's bad.
I was a big fan of him, but he cannot catch. He has brick hands.
He can't block. He
can't do anything.
Fumbles.
I mean,
fumbles on the goal line. Fumbled at least twice on the goal line.
Watch Tank Bigsby be a top 10 back this year when he gets hurt. All right, next guy, Chase Brown, RB38, 123 ADP. What are your thoughts on Chase Brown before I get into my spiel?
I'm in on Zach Moss in that offense. So
really,
yeah. So you go, then you go. I go. You go. I go.
I will tell you this. I think Zach Moss is going like RB23.
34.
Really? So they're close. Wow. Okay. I'll tell you why. It's half-point PPR. This is best ball. And in general, I believe it's a 50-50 timeshare. Chase Brown is a game breaker, dude. He, let's see, most yards per screen pass. Last year in the NFL, you have Chase Brown, 14.9. Jonnu Smith as a tight end, which is weird, 12.6, and Debo 11.9. He was number 1 by 2 yards over anyone else. My concern is pass blocking, which he cannot do. But they're a passing team. Zach Moss is just a guy. Would you agree with that? He's just a guy?
I think Moss gave us a glimpse of what he could be as an RB1 when he took over for Taylor in weeks 2 through 5, 2 through 6
he
last year.
He has the Madison vibe.
24 touches per game and 129 scrimmage yards.
He has the Madison vibe, though.
So I think...
Right?
There are certainly risks that Moss is going to lose work to Chase Brown. But Zach Taylor, when he gets a guy, he likes to stick with it. Especially, he hates it when a guy misses a pass block.
I get it.
Like, we saw that in the Super Bowl when he took Mixon out in order to bring in, I don't know, who's the guy that he brought in on the last play?
Travion Henderson.
Yeah, the last play of the game. Like, terrible decision. But anyway.
Chase Brown has juice. Did you agree?
Yeah, Chase Brown
definitely has
definitely
one of the most athletic players.
I mean,
he's
Moss feels like a 1-for-1 replacement for Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon
and he liked Joe
averaged
Mixon, who was cash
22 touches per game. Like, there's a lot of opportunity.
I get it.
I think both are worthwhile targets.
But I like the upside of Chase Brown.
That's fair. I'm looking at the floor of Zach Moss.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's why we have it. What do you got?
One more, Kamara. Alvin Kamara. My guy. Super Kamara, right?
You're going early here.
Yeah, he's so...
You don't like Kendra Miller, though.
RB17. No,
Kendra Miller was on my
like
list. He's good, dude.
I don't care about Kendra Miller. I don't care about Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams, no. Definitely not.
So, Kamara only played 13 games, but he was a top 10 running back in points.
Where's he going? Tell the
RB17.
Okay.
He finished RB7 or better in 4 out of 13, 15 or better in 8 out of 13, and 25 or better in 11 out of 13. So, an 85% clip there. And a 62% clip to be RB15 or better, which is already better than where he's being drafted. I don't think there's a workload threat there. You got a new offensive coordinator in Clint Kubiak who loves feeding his guy, right? Dalvin Cook had 21.8 points or touches per game with his stint in the Vikings there. And he was on a 49ers staff last year that gave McCaffrey 21.2 points per game. So check down Charlie and Derek Carr giving catches to Kamara. I think there's no way he doesn't surpass his current ADP.
Okay, you ready for this one?
Yep.
Rico Dowdle.
Oh, interesting.
Now this is very...
You don't think the Cowboys are just going to run Zeke?
RB42, 138 ADP. This is also very dependent on... I think they're going to add somebody, but as of right now, we'll see. This is going to be the last of the 5 or least. So unfortunately, this may age very well and very bad in the next week and a half. But I actually think Khalil Herbert's a perfect destination there because the Bears have 3, they have 1 essentially because Zeke doesn't count. But RB42, this dude outperformed Tony Pollard last year. Yes, Tony Pollard's injured. Yes, he was bad. The year before, Tony Pollard was awesome. It was the same thing. Dowdle was better than Pollard. The year before, Pollard was better than Zeke. This guy's good. He's not huge. He's not small. He's an all-around back. This is a passing offense. They don't need a banger. Maybe in the goal line, but Dowdle's going to get 65% of the snaps. In this, we just said it the start of the day, man. This guy is going to have 15 opportunities a week.
If this offense is as potent as we think it could be.
Always as potent, though,
there's always opportunities for that RB2, right? There's always chances
if they don't add anyone, this should be RB22. Would you agree? Going into the season.
Is there anybody behind? Who's behind Dallas?
Zeke.
There's got to be somebody.
Zeke.
No, well, Zeke is the guy.
But Zeke's terrible.
I get it, but I'm wondering who's the third string there.
Deuce Vaughn. He's a turd. Deuce. 2. Yeah. Turd. All right, we're going to wide receivers. What do you got, Story?
My first is Colts wide receiver Michael Pittman. He is currently sitting at wide receiver 21, which I think is way too low. All right, so the Colts drafted Adonai Mitchell. I don't think he eats into
Not yet.
Pittman's share. I think it's all about cutting into Josh Allen.
He eats into Alec Pierce's share.
This is more about the opportunity for upside should something happen to Anthony Richardson. I think Anthony Richardson is a good enough passer that if he stays healthy and if Pittman stays healthy, then that wide receiver, he's going to more than pay off at that wide receiver 21 price tag. But if something happens to Richardson and he doesn't, and you get Joe Flacco back there, that's when you unlock top 12 upside. That's the risk you have to take.
We saw it with Amari Cooper.
Yeah, we saw it with
Amari Cooper. It was top 5 upside, bro.
His value,
wow.
Yeah, and it would. I think his value would skyrocket. Give him a high floor, high ceiling combo where he's QB proof.
Wow.
I think he's gonna. Yeah, he's got an opportunity to fly back. I think that's a risk you got to take.
He's a good player. All 3 levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
short passes, intermediate, and he can go a little deep. He's not the fastest guy in the world.
Not the fastest.
Mike Evans
Not
type.
the best yak guy, but certainly a great route runner.
He's a savvier player than Mike Evans, though. It's crazy to say Mike Evans Mr. 1,000 yards every year. But all right, mine is T. Higgins. First guy, T. Higgins, wide receiver 28, ADP 42. Mostly A, contract year. Love that. B, Joe Burrow. Love that. C, next to one of the top 3 receivers in the league who's going to get double covered all the time in Jamar Chase. Love that. And the last one is every other year we've been wrong and you've been burned by T. Higgins. Why? Because he has 70 catches for 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's fine. You want to know what's not fine? Because he's always going wide receiver 11, 12, or 13 every year somehow.
Yeah, way too high for some reason.
Always been too high. Same with Devontae Smith. Same thing. Now, I'm actually going to say Devontae Smith, honorable mention. He's at like wide receiver 22. This is wide receiver 28. Contract year with Joe Burrow. Bro, no way. I know he's T. Higgins big. He's kind of injury prone somehow.
Sometimes.
He's kind of a pussy.
He does tend to miss 3 or 4 games a year.
Ribs or some
baked into his ADP. I mean, I like your B and I like your C.
Wide receiver 28. Tied to Joe Burrow, and I know
Joe Burrow, good offense.
You can't hold the second receiver against you when you have a generational player next to you.
I actually have Devonta Smith as my next value.
What is it 21?
23. Yeah,
I like that.
So this is a top-heavy passing attack. You got a really narrow target tree. So you got Smith, A.J. Brown, and Goddard, right? That's pretty much it.
This year, maybe a little Saquon more than normal, but it doesn't matter.
But Hurts doesn't really dump off to the
running back. He might, but no.
So this is, I know people are excited to take rookies, but this is a third-year wide receiver, one of the best young wide receivers in the game, going to his prime age 25 season. Could be his best season yet. You can get him as a low-end wide receiver 2 with mid to high-end wide receiver 2. I think that's where he's going to land, and potential wide receiver 1. This could be one of those few teams per year that have 2 wide receiver 1s on their roster.
Mm-hmm. What I love about T. Higgins and him, the upside of, yeah, they're going to probably beat their ADP without an injury, but when you have an injury to one of the number 1 guys, now you're looking at...
A.J. Brown has missed a few games in his
career.
Where
are you ranking T. Higgins and Devontae Smith if the top guy's out for 3 weeks? Probably top 10.
I mean, I doubted Smith coming in the league. I thought he was too small, but he's proved me wrong. I want a piece of this. You got a guy taking it to the next level. Age 25, like right in his prime.
All right, next guy for me, Christian Kirk. This is kind of boring. Wide receiver 30, ADP 44, which is how crazy Underdog is that wide receiver 30 is ADP 44. That's a little rich for my blood, but I'll tell you why I like it. In 2022, he had 22 red zone targets and 7 TDs in the red zone. 2023, granted, he missed 4 games, 5 red zone targets and 0 touchdowns. Calvin Ridley in that span had 26 red zone targets.
Man, they really tried to feed him, didn't they?
They did, and that's an anti-Calvin Ridley argument right now because that's bad. Calvin Ridley's gone. Trevor Lawrence is healthy. They're going to be better. Who's the number 1 option in that offense?
Got to be Kirk.
It can't be the rookie who, again, you liked more than me. You also liked Quentin Johnson more than me. I think Brian Thomas is going to play more of a role. They also have Gabe Davis. I'm just telling you, those guys are bums. Who's the savvy guy?
Well, we can't say not Gabe Davis. We can't say that Brian Thomas is a bum yet. We have to.
I put him in with Quentin Johnson.
Okay, that's.
He's going to be fine eventually. He'll be a little better rookie year, but he's not going to come out gangbusters. Who's the number 1 target there? It's Christian Kirk. Who's going to get 9 or 10 targets a game? It's Christian Kirk. Wide receiver 30? Bro, he finished at wide receiver. So before he was hurt last year, weeks 1 for 13, he had 3 touchdowns. He finished at wide receiver 31. With Calvin Ridley getting all that stuff, right? That's his floor. That's with Calvin Ridley. This dude is 26 years old. There's no way he's finishing worse than his ADP. I know it's supposed to be values where a guy crushes. I feel like his upside is top 14. I feel like his downside is like 35.
My next guy is Terry McLaurin, and my jaw nearly...
That's my next guy is Terry McLaurin.
Nice.
Wide receiver 31, ADP 49.
Yeah,
crazy to say.
Wide receiver 32, but he's been steamed up from wide receiver 36. My jaw still hit the floor when I saw that wide receiver 32 price. I couldn't believe it.
He was wide receiver 32, by the way, last year with Sam Howell. Granted, he played every game. With Sam Howell.
5 seasons of a career, he's had a high level play despite poor quarterback play. We know Jaden Daniels is coming in. We know Jaden Daniels is a highly accurate, great deep ball player. The ability to throw downfield feels like an ideal fit for Terry McLaurin. At the price tag of 32, there's just no way that he doesn't outperform that.
No, that's his basement. And we've seen, so he has 4 straight years of 1,000 yards, 4 straight years of 77 catches or more. That's what's up. Now, the touchdowns haven't been there. We've seen this with many guys. Quarterback plays them bad. And you want ready for me to blow your head off?
Sure.
Or, stab your neck off?
Cut it off.
This is the best stat ever. So, you want to hear the quarterbacks he's played with in his career more than one game, not just like a couple snaps. You ready for this?
Sure.
Dwayne Haskins.
I was going to say.
Here's one.
Yeah, the first one.
Kyle Allen, Alex Smith on one leg, Carson Wentz, Taylor Heineke, Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett, and Colt McCoy.
At the time, I'd say Heineke's probably the best quarterback that he's played. Because Wentz was over the hill at that point.
That's bad. I know, that's bad, Carson Wentz.
It's bad. It's not great.
You want to know what the equivalent of that is? That's Kim Kardashian's dating record if she's trying to find love. Right? Not like or like any of those things, or like, like social media appeal. If she's actually trying to find like her love and like someone to raise her kids, that's what that is. And Terry McLaurin has had 77 catches and literally 1,000 yards with those quarterbacks. What can he do? And Jaden Daniels doesn't have to be good. He can be what those guys are, which I doubt he'll be that bad, and have 78 catches and 1,000 yards and maybe 6 touchdowns, which is better than wide receiver 31.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love it. Good for you. Good for you, Jack.
George, you decided to get a rug. Good for you, Jack.
My next guy, Deontay Johnson, wide receiver 44, ADP 74. We saw what Adam Thielen did last year with this busted offense, with terrible Bryce Young, with awful play calling. Adam Thielen could not get open. He could not run a route, but he was savvy, right? That's Adam Thielen. Deontay Johnson he can run a route. He can get open. Yes, he's a knucklehead. Yes, he's injury prone. All those things. I'm just telling you, Adam Thielen did this. I'm not trying to discredit Adam Thielen, but Deontay Johnson is the number one there. He is the guy playing the Adam Thielen role. Although Adam Thielen's still there, but they paid him. I doubt they're going to just be giving Adam Thielen those routes anymore. He's going to be an ancillary piece. Wide receiver 44, Deontay Johnson, a team that's going to get their brains beaten in.
Ball's got to go somewhere.
And dink and dunk. I mean, I don't know what the touchdowns are going to be. I don't know what the yards are going to be. I know the guy's probably going to have 95 catches.
This is especially good in a PPR league.
Yeah, and this is half PPR. I'm saying 44, I don't care. It's underdog. This is not even a best ball guy. This is not the guy I want a best ball, right? What's he going to do? 7 for 64 and maybe a touchdown? But the point is, you're getting him at wide receiver 44. He's going to get you 11 points minimum. Give him a touchdown, there's 17. Give him 4 weeks. Boom. What do you think?
The big concern there would obviously be the lack of potency of the offense, but the ball's got to go somewhere.
You're losing by 20.
If you're going to throw it to somebody, it's got to be a guy who's going to catch 8, 9, 10 passes a game.
I've heard lack of potency before, and that comes with people that get snipped. You know what I'm saying? And they end up impregnating their girl. That's happened, right?
They can probably.
They get a vasectomy.
I don't know.
I'm telling you,
medical journals,
dude. I'm just telling you that's happened before, and that could be Deontay Johnson. They think they got snipped. They think there's a vasectomy in this offense, and what do you know? Yeah, they still have 4 wins, but maybe they scored 22 points a game. Maybe Deontay Johnson has 7 touchdowns. What do you have there? Wide receiver 21. That's half where you're paying.
Wide receiver 44?
44, dude.
I'm going to give you wide receiver 43 as my last wide receiver. Well, 2 honorable mentions. Wide receiver 18, Amari Cooper, and wide receiver 62, Keon Coleman, rookie for the Buffalo Bills. But my last guy on the wide receivers is Jackson Smith-Njigba for the Seattle Seahawks. And this is a huge upside play. If anything happens to Metcalf or Lockett, then you have a wide receiver to pretty much lock in.
That's true. It's the anti-Deontay Johnson argument of this guy. Yeah, I
don't have to think about when to start Jackson Smith-Njigba. If he spends the first 6 weeks on my bench or when gets slid in, and then something happens to Lockett, then boom, 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 I got a wide receiver 2 that I got at a wide receiver 4 price tag.
I have 2 honorable mentions, though. It's Cooper Kupp, wide receiver 22, And I can't have him as my list because in Fantasy Pros and other places, I see wide receiver 29. So, and not about ADP, like 22 is too high. Like, that's where I'd draft him, which is nice. But, like, 29, I'd love that because I would draft him like 23, 24. But it's not a value at 22, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you.
And then Khalil Shakur, which is, you said your honor mention is Keon Coleman.
Yeah, another Bills guy. Who's going to step up there?
The problem is you have Curtis Samuel, wide receiver 49, and Keon Coleman, wide receiver 47. I like Coleman. You know I liked him in the pre-draft process. Curtis Samuel is always a thorn in the spine, definitely early in the year. He always explodes weeks 1 through 7, as we know, and then fades to oblivion. But Khalil Shakur has the grasp on the offense more than the other guys do. He's been there. He's been super efficient, bro. Like 62 targets and like 48 catches last year. He took the Diggs role at the end of the year. And I just don't know about this one. But a wide receiver 55, dude, I think I'm going to take my shot there. Do you have any tight ends? I have a tight end right now.
Yeah.
It hasn't been pounded in a while. So.
Mine is George Kittle at tight end 8. Seems really low for a guy that was being drafted at tight end 3 only a couple of years ago.
Especially in best ball because his the biggest gripe with him is that he gets 3 touchdowns and then nothing.
Then he gets 3 targets.
Yes.
Then he's hurt for 2 games. So for me, he's a really good. I probably really will stay far away. I love George Kittle. I love seeing those huge games, blow-up games. He can win you your week, but at the same time, when he disappoints, he disappoints. So throw him on a best ball roster. Let him. He never comes off the field, right? He's an elite blocker. He delivers. He's 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 11 touchdowns in 2022, despite a lower yardage total. There's just a lot of talent there, but the production doesn't seem impacted by that for Kittle. So for me, for best ball, give me those spike weeks, and I'll have a tight end 2 tight end 3 that can fill in if he doesn't deliver.
Mine is Pat Freiermuth, tight end 14.
The Muth.
134 ADP, and this is the reason why. He's always been, per game basis, top 10 every time he plays. Now they have George Pickens. Okay, number 1. He's also a knucklehead that can get benched at any time because he doesn't block. Van Jefferson. Okay. Van Jefferson is their wide receiver 2.
Remember when everybody thought Van Jefferson was going to be the number 2 in Los Angeles?
He wears a chain. I don't like him. Yeah, I do remember that. And then Darnell Washington is the tight end behind him, who is 6'9", who's an athletic freak, but he's just a blocker right now. And that's all I have. I don't know who else they have there. It's not good. It's not good. Pat Freiermuth is the number 2 target. If you want, maybe the running backs, but no, number 2 target. And both quarterbacks like tight ends. Russell Wilson now is a check down Susan. And we saw Cole Kmet. Justin Fields, baby. Yeah. Give me I know he's not sexy.
Where's he at?
14.
Yeah, it's not
I know he's not sexy, but I feel like he should be tight end 12 or 11 or 10. I don't know, man. He's for best ball, I know you want the spiked weeks. At tight end, I don't. I want a guy that gets me 9 points a week. And I'm going to pair this with the next guy. I'm going to actually do it right now. Daniel Bellinger. Tight end 38. I said it. Tight end 38.
I don't think I've drafted any Giants this year.
Okay. 216 ADP,
maybe
by the way, is undrafted. Waller retired. So he is the only show in town.
He made a bad decision by breaking up with Kelsey Plum.
Let me give you the tight ends there. Theo Johnson, Jack Stoll, and Chris Manhertz.
Jack Stoll from Ohio State, right?
He's a blocker.
Theo Johnson from Penn State. And who's the last guy?
Manhertz. Those are blockers. He's an X-Men character, bro. They're all blockers. And yes, they have all these receivers. I'm just telling you, who's playing every snap on the Giants?
Danny Belly.
Who is tight end 38? He's going to walk his way into 5 touchdowns and 600 yards. I know it doesn't sound sexy, but if I pair Pat Freiermuth and Daniel Bellinger, and I wait till pick 140 to get Freiermuth, and I wait till the last pick to get Bellinger, I am so comfortable in best balls with those 2 guys giving me 8 points a week, which doesn't sound great, but I didn't take tight ends. Yeah? What do you got? You got your last guy?
That's
it?
Yeah.
That's it? We're wrapped up?
Yeah. Anybody else for you?
No, that's it, man. That's it. It was a hell of a night. It was fun. A lot of names, a lot of good knowledge, and let's go.
And it's been a complete joy.